various ways, such as he was paid £2, 14 shillings, and 3 pence, that translates to $3.54, for providing pasture for cattle for 16 days. Today, thanks to Google, we know that would be $112.93. He served as a juror in Botetourt County, Virginia. He paid the 1783 supply tax, and he also served on a committee to, and I quote, "view the way through which it is proposed to establish a road from the courthouse to William Ward's sawmill, and report the convenience and inconveniences to this court." 11th of March, 1777. Today, Matthew Raulston, we thank you for your patriotism and support for the cause of freedom. It is an honor to celebrate the service of this patriot and to preserve his place in history for generations to come. On behalf of the Martha Dandridge Washington chapter, I present this marker dedicated to the memory and service of Patriot Mathew Raulston.
thank you for the invitation being here today. I have a proclamation honoring Patriot Mathew Raulston, a provider of services to the American Army during our Revolutionary War. Whereas Mathew Raulston was born around 1742 in Augusta County, Virginia, and died somewhere around December the 29th, 1800 in Jefferson County, Tennessee. And whereas Mathew Raulston served his country by providing supplies and pasture for cattle. And whereas Mathew Raulston was a juror and a road planner in Virginia, helping to establish infrastructure to the new fledgling country. And whereas Mathew Raulston lived in Tennessee after 1794 and was buried here at Beth-Car Cemetery in December of 1800. And whereas members of the DAR have appointed this day, April the 10th, 2021, to honor and mark the grave of this patriot. Now therefore I, Mark Potts, Mayor, on behalf of the residents of Jefferson County and Jefferson County Commission, do hereby recognize the contributions of Mathew Raulston to the history of our county and our country. In witness hereof, I have fixed my sign and my signature and cause this day to honor Mathew Raulston in the year of our Lord, 2021.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We are fortunate to have with us today Mr. Robert D. Jernigan, also known as Bob. Bob has a heart for service for his community and many life accomplishments. In addition to being married to the DAR member Susie Blank Jernigan of the Martha Dandridge, Washington chapter, Bob graduated from Wake Forest University in 1976 with a Bachelor of Science degree in business, after which he went to work for H.B. Jernigan and Company Insurance Agency in Dandridge, where he is the current owner and president. He has been active in United Way since its organization in 1985 and with the Jefferson County Volunteer Contributors Organization prior to that. He is the president of the Dandridge Memorial Library, a member of Board of Directors for First Tennessee Bank in Dandridge and the Glenmore Preservation Society. He is a member of the Jefferson County and East Tennessee Historical Society and Jefferson County Genealogy Associates. He is recipient of the Jefferson County Chamber of Commerce Volunteer of the Year Award in 2001. Has served as Jefferson County Historian since 2006. Received the Jefferson County Citizenship Award for 2008 for Senior Citizens Home Assistance Service, Samuel M. Walton Leadership Award 2009, and Jefferson County of the Year 2009, awarded by the First Tennessee Bank. It doesn't stop there. Bob conducts guided walking tours of the Dandridge Historical District in addition to giving presentations to various organizations about early Jefferson County history. Today, he is here to present for us Mathew Raulston, from Rowland Stones in Scotland to Rowland Hills in Tennessee. Please welcome Bob Jernigan.
Something to keep my notes from away here. You know, it always does my heart good to hear the bagpipes, and particularly when we're in a special setting like we are today here at the Beth-Car Church and Cemetery. And aren't we lucky the rain is going to hold off for us today? Thank goodness. Yeah, let's have a hand on that. I'm going to dive right into my program today, and as is common with many family names, surnames, the Mathew Raulston name has found various spellings through the generations. Your program today records that we'll be reviewing the life and times of Mathew Raulston, spelled R-A-U-L-S-T-O-N, right? Well, this is the name that's etched on his gravestone here at Beth-Car Cemetery. But when one looks through the recorded history of this family, the surname spellings differ in various places. The spelling that I prefer to use and I would like to concentrate on today is the one that's found in Matthew's first deed, which was recorded in Jefferson County, and it's Raulston, R-O-U-L-S-T-O-N-E. Now that's my favorite spelling of the ones I've seen. This spelling's probably closer to the original family spelling that's connected to the Raulston Scottish clan, which was established in the area of Paisley, located a bit west of Glasgow in Scotland. A common origin legend is the name is derived from an ancient family line who gained notoriety in battle for defeating their enemies by rolling heavy rocks down the hillside, roll stone. Eventually changing and morphing into Raulston, okay? But today we are roll stones. Some of the internet information that I've read on the family refers to the family origins as being in the Scottish Highlands. But actually, if you look at the area around Paisley, which is in Renfrewshire area due west of Glasgow, this would be the west central lowlands. Now, I'm assuming some of these people figure if you're going to be rolling the rocks down the hills, it must be in the highlands, right? Well, let me tell you, there are highlands in the lowlands, and there's lowlands in the highlands. So even in the lowlands, there's plenty of hills to roll those big rocks down. So let's don't get confused. He's definitely in the lowlands of Scotland, okay? Matthew's family tree traces back to John Raulston, spelled R-O-U-L-S-T-O-N-E, born 1653 in Scotland and died 1717 in Boston. The rain is just starting, I feel it. He married Mary Bumstead April 25th of 1861. John ran a shipping business in Scotland, and he occasionally sailed to Boston. And eventually John immigrated with his family to Boston, and this was in the year 1676. Next generation would be John Raulston II, born 1684 in Boston, died 1744 in Augusta County, Virginia. He married Dorothy Nicholson in 1707. John started down the migration route through the Shenandoah Valley and settled near Staunton, Virginia in Augusta County. John's son William Raulston was born 1708 in Boston, died 1767 in Virginia. He married Eleanor Bodetort. I'm not sure if I got that pronunciation. Is that close enough? Bodetort. They lived in Augusta County, Virginia, in the area that in 1770 was carved out as a new county of Bodetort County, which may have been named after Eleanor's family. Don't you think it probably was? William's son Matthew is our honored subject today, and Matthew was born 1742 in Bodetort County, Virginia, where he married Martha Polly Moore. His land in Virginia was located along Looney's Mill Creek. This is where Robert Looney had established his homestead in 1742, and his place was known as Looney's Mill or Looney's Ferry. And it was visited by many of the settlers traveling down the ancient Great Road on their way traveling to the west. In 1789, Matthew sold his land in Virginia and moved to the area that would become Tennessee. This was during the period of the Southwest Territory, when our area around here was in that transition state between the state of North Carolina, the short-lived state of Franklin, and then eventually the state of Tennessee coming along in 1796. Here, Matthew found a land of rolling hills, valleys, and rivers. Must have reminded him of his lands back home in Virginia, and also the family's roots back in Scotland. Matthew died possibly late in 1800. We see on his stone there's only a year of birth and a year of death. He died in Jefferson County, Tennessee. Matthew's will is recorded here in Jefferson County, and it's dated December the 29th, 1800. And in those days, typically your will was done shortly before you died. So we're going to go with 1800, which is on his stone here. What evidence is found in the Jefferson County records as to Matthew Raulston's short time here? I've mentioned his will recorded in Jefferson County in 1800. The earliest record that I was able to find is in the first Jefferson County Court minute books, where it states in the May sessions of 1793 that Matthew Raulston hath leave to keep a ferry on the French Broad River at his own house, and is rated the same as those of Peter Fine. Peter Fine had one of the early ferries that is up on the French Broad River outside of Cocke County and outside of Newport. The only warranty deed that I was able to find for Matthew is dated in 1794. It is from Michael Bacon for 200 acres on the north side of the French Broad River. Michael Bacon received this land through a North Carolina land grant bearing the date of December 24, 1792. But Michael entered this land, which means he was on the land by this date, October 22nd of 1783. That's a very early date for Jefferson County, and it's just shortly after the close of the American Revolution when the lands over here west of the mountains were first opened up for settlement. When I studied this deed to Matthew and tried to plot the meets and bounds survey on my deed mapper program on my computer, I found it a bit unusual because there are only 3 calls on this deed. The first one is south 85 east. The last call is north 85 west. That makes a straight line. Those are opposite directions. Now, the middle call between these two says it follows the meanders of the French Broad River. Well, guess what that does? We're starting here. We're going to go across to the bank of the French Broad River. We're going to go down the river, around and back up to the opposite side and back across to the beginning spot. So you got a straight line and you've got a big bend in the river. So I'm convinced that Matthew's land was located on the southern portion of what is known today as Taylor's Bend on the north side of the French Broad River. Now that's where Bainbury is located, close by here. Also, that straight line, if you convert the poles to feet and add those 2 straight lines together because they meet in the middle where they start, it's 6,303 feet. So I went to the Tennessee Property Viewer website this morning and measured across from one bank of the river across the bottom line of Bainbury and over to the other one, and that's pretty close to the number I get. So I'm really, really, really convinced that that's where this man's land was located. It appears that he had more land than this 200 acres because it's recorded in the 1800 Jefferson County tax list as he's in Captain Copeland's company, and he has 350 acres associated with him in 1800. Further evidence that he has more land is in later sales of the land that his sons inherited. The 3 sales that are recorded of his sons add up to 220 acres. Those are recorded in 1806 and in 1813. The 3 tracts of land that were sold by his sons, Samuel, William, and James, include the surnames of Moore, Graham, and Taylor, which are all associated with Taylor's Bend area. William Graham actually wound up pretty soon with all 3 of those tracts. Now, there was a Graham Chapel United Methodist Church located on William's land. Today, there is still a Graham Chapel Cemetery just off the Harrison Ferry Road, right past Bainbury. There is also a known later ferry at this spot called the Harrison Ferry. That's where the name coming through Bainbury gets Harrison Ferry Road. And this is probably a ferry operated at the same location as what Matthew used earlier, and that would be at French Broad River Mile 59.5. Matthew Raulston fought for the Patriots in the Revolution alongside his neighbors from the lower half of Looney's Mill Creek in Augusta County, later Beaufort County, Virginia. He served as a private in Captain Mills' company of the Virginia Militia. Matthew received pay vouchers for military service and for provisions for supplies. Today, we honor our revolutionary hero, Matthew Raulston. Next, I'd like to introduce and bring Jennifer Bruckert up, who is a direct Raulston descendant and a White Pine resident.
Thank you, Bob. Well said, well researched. I appreciate that. Thank you, everyone, the local DAR chapter, everyone here today. It's a beautiful moment to see a circle take shape And by that, I mean when I moved here almost 15 years ago, I didn't think I had roots here. And so as you open up this flower, you know, you find at the center, this is where you started. It's an amazing thing to look out and see everyone's support here today. And what I'd really like to convey more than anything is that we would have made him proud. Our family has continued to be stewards of the land and agriculture. We have also had patriots, in the World Wars I and II, the Vietnam War, Korean conflict, and the Middle Eastern conflicts as well. So to look at this gravestone for me is not just a marker ceremony. It's the circle. And I'm here representing our family who couldn't be here today. We have hundreds of cousins descended from Matthew who couldn't make it, but they send their love and their appreciation, and more than anything, just true gratitude for the care and kindness and diligence that was taken by the local DAR chapter to make this happen. My family is with me today, and they just love this moment as much as I do. Thank you for everything. I am descended through his daughter, Elizabeth. She married into the Jared family, which is ironic. My daughter's father's name is Jared. We've laughed about this since. But through that lineage, they moved west. And within that family cluster, they started Putnam County, which is today Cookeville. Continuing west farther, they ended up in Nashville. In the Franklin area, my grandfather is still an active agricultural member there with cattle and a beautiful rolling landscape on an antebellum property. It's beautiful, it's gorgeous, it's serene. You look at that and say, I can see that at one point battles took place here as well, and they did. The Battle of Franklin passed through his property. His home was used as a hospital to care for soldiers who were wounded. It's haunted. But it's a good time, you know, and they are lovely people. I would love to mention my cousin Marcia Kaline Morley, She is in Florida. She would love to be here more than anyone. She is also a DAR member and has proven our lineage to 6 other patriots. And through her line, it's my aim to also become a member as well, to carry that on for Marcia and for the family.
We are fortunate to have with us today Tennessee State Society Vice Regent, Ms. Carol Teeters. Ms. Teeters, would you please bring greetings from the state?
Thank you so much. It is indeed a great pleasure for me to be able to join you all today and to bring greetings on behalf of the 6,700 members of the Tennessee State Society, Daughters of the American Revolution. I was speaking with our state regent earlier on the way here, and she sends her best wishes for a lovely event as well, which you have indeed conducted a lovely event today. And I am from Cookeville, and I am a member of the Old Walton Road chapter. And on the Old Walton Road, which was constructed by surveyor William Walton, there is the old Raulston, or I will go home and tell everyone in Putnam County it's Raulston. The old Raulston stand, which the Old Walton Road chapter marked in the 50s, in the 1950s. And through a confluence of events, I did not actually receive my invitation to this until this morning, and I did not have time to research that very well for you, but I will certainly do that going forward, and tell you that I'm very well acquainted with many of the Jared descendants, and my husband is actually, his best friend is a Jared. They went to college together, but I digress. But it is lovely to be here today. Thank you again so much for joining, or for asking me to join you. And I've learned a lot today, and I've learned I have a lot more to research. So thank you so much for having me. And again, greetings from the Tennessee Society, and best wishes for a fruitful DAR year.
Bob, what a wonderful presentation. Thank you, Madam State Vice Regent. One of the greatest privileges that a DAR chapter can have is to be granted authority by our national society to mark the grave of a Revolutionary War patriot. And the Martha Dandridge Washington chapter, by tradition, tries to mark one grave each year. There's a lot of behind-the-scenes things that take place to put one of these ceremonies together, and it takes several individuals, both inside and outside of our organization, to make that happen. Our chapter is fortunate to have individuals who provide unwavering support to our cause. One of those individuals is Jefferson County historian Bob Jarnigan. Bob, again, you have proven yourself an exceptional steward of history. Your research and storytelling ability has well represented the life and time of Mathew Raulston. We thank you for the countless hours that you have dedicated to DAR and especially to our chapter. Another individual that provides immense support without hesitation is Jefferson County Mayor Mark Potts. Mayor Potts, sir, I thank you for affirming by proclamation the importance of Mathew Raulston to our great nation. And like Bob, whatever we have asked of you in the name of DAR, you have graciously provided. I think it's at this moment that I'm going to say that Bob's wife is DAR and Mayor Potts' mother is DAR, so I'm not sure they have a whole lot of say in what they do. But we do thank you. We know you do it from your heart, truly. It is well, those of us who claim Revolutionary War patriots as our ancestors are truly blessed, and the DAR organization helps us to remember and honor the courage and sacrifices that have been made on our behalf by men and women we never knew, but whose blood is our very life. And we're privileged to have with us members of other DAR chapters here today to help us celebrate the contributions of Mathew Raulston. Would all members of the DAR please rise to be recognized? Wow. I appreciate each of you ladies, and I am honored and remain honored to serve alongside of you in continuing the mission of our national society. Now, I'm going to plug DAR for just a minute. If there's any ladies here that would like information on how to join DAR, just see one of these ladies that were just standing. Folks, we have DAR chapters in 11 overseas countries, 1 U.S. territory, all across the United States and the state of Tennessee. Local chapters are in Jefferson, Cox, Sevier, and Hamlin counties, and I promise you any of these chapters are going to be delighted to help you become a member. Will all members of the Sons of the American Revolution, Children of the American Revolution, and Sons of the Revolution please rise to be recognized? Now, we have some folks back here that you may not be able to see. George Lane, President of the Stephen Holston Chapter, National Society, Sons of the American Revolution. To John Gentry, President of the General William Lenore Society, National Society, Children of the American Revolution. I thank you, gentlemen, for your continued patriotic endeavors, and especially for you and your compatriots being here today to help celebrate Mathew Raulston. Now, I'm going to plug them right now, too. If any gentleman here would like information on how to join SAR, he's got his hand raised, President George Lane, and also the CAR. I see...
John, raise your hand.
John, raise your hand. Where are you at? There he is, under the tree here. See these folks, and they'll be happy to help, to assist you. Will all veterans of the United States military please rise to be recognized? We have some that are standing back here. Raise your hand if you're already standing. There you go. We are humbled by your courage to serve this great nation and thankful for the benefits that we have and continue to receive from your sacrifice. Thank you to Pastor Darrell Chambers and the members and congregants of the Beth-Car United Methodist Church. We thank you for your Christian hospitality and especially for the invitation to honor Mathew Raulston. To everyone else here today, we appreciate you sharing just a small part of your day with us, and we look forward to the next time we meet.